Hey guys, so today we're checking out the 7-inch LED headlights and 4-inch LED fog lights with the ColorSmart RGB and the black housing as well as the clear lens, fitting all 1997 to 2018 TJ and JK Wranglers. Now if your headlights and fog lights have seen better days and you're in search of a lighting combo that not only will help out with better front end visibility, but also offer a lot of custom styling to make your Jeep stand apart from the rest, this is a great kit to check out. Now this kit will come with the matching headlights and fog lights to create a seamless and finished look to the front end if you want a one-stop shop compared to matching a pair together. This kit will feature a traditional aftermarket design with the black housing and multiple projector lenses that's going to modernize the appearance while drastically upping the lighting performance compared to the factory setup with the included LEDs. Now each light will also feature an RGB halo that you'll be able to customize on the fly via the Bluetooth controller for day-to-day cruising or at your next Jeep show. Now both sets of lights here will be built very tough with an aluminum housing on the back and an impact resistant lens on the front, which will protect the LEDs on the inside from any pickup on the street or if you're taking your Jeep on the trail. Now the projector lenses, in addition to the LEDs, will also offer a consistent and a longer beam pattern while offering a bright white 6500K color temperature. Now these will also be a direct fit to any TJ or JK, but will require a little bit of wiring, as you can see here with this included wiring harness for the custom lighting, so I would just keep that in mind. When it comes to the price, you can expect to pay right around the $400 mark. Now this kit will offer a lot for that price, most importantly that you're getting a 2-in-1 deal here. Now a lot of other choices on the page will come separately, which will leave you matching your headlights to your fog lights and finding a good combo, as to where this takes all of the question out of it. Now compared to other choices as far as the styling and features are concerned, again, this is going to offer that custom feel that other standard lights are not really going to bring to the table. Now I think if you want a well-performing set of headlights and fog lights that's going to break necks every time you turn them on, then this is the kit for you. Install will be pretty straightforward, but this will require, again, a little bit of wiring, so I am going to give it a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about 3 hours to get the job done with some basic hand tools. Now at this point we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown of the install and what that looks like, so that's going to wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
For this install, we're going to be using a trim removal tool, a Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of wire strippers with a cutter and wire crimps, a T-joint, and a male wire connector. All right, so today we're going to be installing a set of LED headlights on a 2014 Jeep Wrangler. Okay, so our first step is we're going to remove the front grille. And to do that, we're going to remove 6 push clips with our trim removal tool. So we're going to slide the trim removal tool underneath, kind of wiggle, pry up, and careful not to bend the head or rip the head off. Once they're up, you should be able to pull it out just like that. We're going to do these guys all across the top. Sometimes they might come apart in 2 pieces. Just use that trim removal tool and pull the second half out too. Sometimes you might have to come at them at a different angle. That one. And the last one down here. Okay, so now that we have those push clips out of the top of this grill, we can grab it firmly from the bottom, give it a nice pull, and these retention clips are going to pop out of the rad support, just like that. Don't walk away with it because there's plugs connected to these lights we're going to have to take off. Okay, now we can get access to the turn signal here behind the grill. There's this clip here. We're going to push this back. This is a lock. So once that's pushed back, we can push the tab down at the end and pull it right off. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat this exact process on the other side. Now that we have access to these 4 screws holding the trim ring over the headlight, we can take our Phillips head screwdriver and go ahead and pull them out. There's 2. Third one is underneath here. Make sure you're holding the headlight because they'll fall out once you have these screws out here. Okay, now we can go ahead and you guys hanging in there. ahead and remove the trim ring. Your headlight should be able to come out of its socket. And we have a plug back here, the same style with that red safety clip. Push it back, push the tab down. Should be able to pull it right off the headlight. And then we'll go ahead and repeat the exact process on the other side. So just a pro tip, when you're uninstalling something that you can't see very easily, it's always a great idea to check out the new product to see how it would mount. So if we look at the new fog light, it's got 4 mounting tabs, so there's going to be 4 screws. In this case, on this Jeep, it is 4 Phillips head screws. So now we know that we're looking for all 4 of those, and we can reach your hand back here and feel around for them. So if we take a look at the new fog light, you can see that there's 4 mounting brackets. And then you can't see the back of the factory fog light. So you know that you're looking for 4 screws when you reach your hand behind this bumper to go for them. In this case, they're going to be 4 Phillips head screws on this Jeep. So I know you're not going to be able to see this on camera, but I'm going to take my Phillips head screwdriver in my other hand and reach around the back of the bumper and feel for those screws. This might be a little tough at first, but you'll get the hang of it. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and there's 4. And don't go walking away with it right away because we're still plugged in here. So now that we have this fog light out of the bumper, it's a good time to point out those Phillips head screws and those mounting tabs on both sides. Once you have the fog light out, you can take the plug off and we're ready to install. So to get the plug off, you just push the tab down and pull it out, just like that. And then the other side is the exact same process as this side. So before we go ahead and throw the aftermarket lights in, we need to do a little bit of wiring first. In the kit included is this RGB control unit. This is what's going to communicate with your phone through the app so you can control the colors of your headlights. On one end, you have this harness with 4 plug ends on it. One is for a ground bolt, 2 turn signals, and main power. Depending on your case and how you're going to install this, you can actually cut these ends off and wire in extensions or any other plug end you would like depending on your application. Then on the other side, you have 3 cables coming out and one splits into 2 with a Y. These are for your fog lights. I'm gonna keep these wrapped up so they're a little bit more manageable while we install the headlight first. The other 2 are the RGB controller connectors for the headlight. These are really long so that you have some freedom to put that RGB controller wherever you would like in the engine bay and still be able to reach your headlights. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and install this on the passenger side headlight, right near the fuse box. We would like to wire it into the running lights because we want our RGB to turn on when we just have the running lights on, but not when we have the headlights on. So we're gonna do that. You can install them at any spot you would like, and that's totally fine. Like I said, for the purpose of today's install, we're gonna be installing the RGB controller on the passenger side front, behind the headlight. So I'm gonna start by setting my RGB controller down right around the area of the power steering fluid reservoir. And we're gonna start with this harness here. We need to do a little bit of modification. In our case, we are not using the ground bolt end. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that off. What we're gonna do is wire in a male end crimp connector. So you can take our wire strippers. So we can go ahead and strip the end of that wire, take the male end, push it in. What we're gonna do is go ahead and crimp this right down on top of it. Just like that. Now we have a male end installed. So now that we have that installed, we're gonna dangle it down behind here and actually go past the headlight socket because we're wiring these into the running lights. Back behind the headlight socket. Down underneath. So it comes out right next to that wiring for the turn signal plug from the front grille. This vehicle already previously had a T-joint installed on the ground wire, the black wire. So what we can go ahead and do is push our male end from the ground wire on the RGB harness. Now we're tapped into the ground from the turn signal wire. Next, we're going to come to our wire labeled 1. It's the yellow wire. This is our turn signal. So this vehicle also already had a end spliced into it, an extension lead with a male end. So what we can go ahead and do is just plug that in, just like that. And then 2 is going to be our other turn signal, which is going to be wired to the other sides. So included with the kit is an extension wire to run this over to the other headlight. Here is the included extension wire that came with the kit. What we're going to do is feed this the same way. Drape this over the engine bay, just like that. Bring this down through here. Following suit with the other harness we just fished. What we can go ahead and do is drop that into the green wire labeled 2. Then on the other side, all you need to do is take this extension wire and wire it into the turn signal light on the other side. All you need to do to get the turn signal working on the other side is to take this extension wire and splice it into the turn signal wire, which will be the white and red wire, just like seen here. Then you can take this extension wire and plug it into the same spot on the turn signal wiring harness on the other side. Next, we can take one of our RGB connectors for the headlights coming out of the controller. In this case, we're using the one labeled 1. And what we can do is fish that into the headlight socket, like so. Then, once everything is fished through this socket, it's at this point that you can mount this RGB controller somewhere in the engine bay. For the purpose of this install, we're not going to mount it. It's at this time you can take the other RGB lead, labeled 2, and do the same thing on the other side. So next, I unraveled one of the spools of wire for the fog light connector. We need to get it down to here from the RGB connector up here. So we're gonna have to route this in a way where it won't get caught in anything. It won't be exposed to anything that can chew through it. How I would do it, and again, this is totally up to you and your vehicle, I'm going to drape it down through the headlight socket. Going to follow it under the headlight socket in the bottom corner. Pull everything through. And then what I'm going to do is pass it through the front body mount, or the radiator support mount. There's a hole in the back that comes down right next to the frame. I'm going to push it through that hole. I should be able to just kind of reach my hand down here and pull it through. Then I have plenty of room down here by the bumper to plug the fog light in. And what you can go ahead and do is do this exact same process with the lead for the other side. And then last, we have this red wire here. This is the main power for the harness. And we're actually going to be using something that's currently already installed on this vehicle. It's a lead coming out of the turn signal harness for power. Just going to go ahead and plug that in. And now our wiring's complete. Since we're traveling a short distance with the RGB lead for this headlight, what I ended up doing was pulling all the slack out of the headlight socket itself. And we're going to manage the cables up here with a twist tie to keep them out of the front area of the headlight, because we're going to stuff some wiring into here. So next up, we're going to install the included CAN bus module. This will keep your LEDs from flashing eye-lied. That's not what we're going to do. First, we're going to install the headlight adapter. This is included in the kit. It just plugs in to the factory green headlight plug and push that safety tab down. Next, we have the CAN bus module. This is going to keep your turn signals from flashing too quickly because of the LEDs. And once those are installed, we're ready to put the headlight in. So here's the headlight. You're going to know you have it facing the right direction because you can read the text embossed into the lens at the top. As you can see on the harness, we have the male end for that CAN bus receiver. As you can see, we have the male end for that CAN bus module. Connect that like that. And then we have the receiving end for that RGB lead. This is keyed. There's a little groove on there, so you want to match the groove up with the key and push it in until the O-ring is crushed. That's going to keep moisture from getting in the connection. And then in my case, I have a little plastic label over the threads. Go ahead and take that off. And then last, we have the RGB connector that we can put that RGB lead into from the module. This is keyed. There's a groove just like that. And we'll line it up correctly, push it in until that little O-ring is crushed. That's going to keep moisture from getting inside your connector. And then you can take the collar and thread the collar on. So now that we have this all connected, before we go ahead and do all this work to install it, we want to verify that everything we did works. So we can go ahead and test it by turning the lights on and making sure everything works properly. As you can see, the headlight is working and the RGB halo is illuminated, so we can go ahead and install the headlight. So before we push our headlight into the socket, we're going to need to stuff all this wiring in there. Try to do it gently so that nothing bends too harsh and we don't get any breaks inside the wire insulation. And this is why I pulled most of that RGB lead harness out of the headlight socket so we could make as much room as possible for the adapter harnesses. Once you have that neatly fished in there, what you can go ahead and do is line up the little teeth on the outside of the headlight with the headlight socket so that it fits in just like that. And then we can take our headlight ring, put it in its place, line it up with the holes corresponding, and then take one of our Phillips head screws that we took out earlier and get it started by hand. Once that's held in place, I'm going to go ahead and start another one. Using my Phillips head screwdriver, I'm going to put another one of those screws into this side. Go ahead and snug them up. And then there are two more Phillips head screws that go into the side here, and one more on the bottom. Make sure these are all tight. So now that our harness is all plugged in, we're good to go ahead and install the fog light. It's important to note that to have this fog light the right side up, the skinnier round mounting tabs need to be on the bottom. And in my case, it was a lot easier for me to get this mounted up if I would pass the screws through the hole beforehand, because it is really tricky to find the holes once this is in. So what we can do is go ahead and pass it into the bumper. I'm going to get those screws started by hand, and I just put two in to start just to hold it there. So I can use my other hand, now that this is let go, and start the other screws. Here's that one started. What we can go ahead and do then is grab our Phillips head screwdriver, just like this. Feel back in here and tighten them down. There's one, two, and then you can just go ahead and tighten the rest of them down until you have all four nice and snug. And once this side is installed, you can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Now that the headlights and fog lights are installed, we're good to go ahead and install the grille. We're just going to drop it down into place here. Next, we're going to plug in our turn signal light. Just going to put the plug on until it clicks, and then push the safety tab down, and then you can go ahead and do this same thing for the other side. Next, We're going to set the grill on top of the rad support just like that, and then push those body clips in on the bottom. Now that we have that setting there, take our push clips and install them. And then we have 3 on this side as well. One. And now our grill is installed. So now we're going to take a look at the app that can control these headlights. You can turn them on with the power button at the top. You can raise and lower the brightness like that. You can even cycle through some of the other color options, as well as in the Style tab, do some different patterns, adjust the speed of the pattern. Some pulsating, flashing in all sorts of different colors, jumping between all the other colors. There's also other features at the bottom for timing, going to music, and you can actually record what you're saying and have it play to that as well. To get the full functionality of your headlights and fog lights, be sure to download the app so you can control the color options they have to offer. And that's an install finished. Those were the 7-inch LED headlights and 4-inch LED fog lights with ColorSmart RGB, black housings, and clear lenses for the 1997 to 2018 Jeep Wrangler TJ and JK. Remember, for all things Jeep, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.